What would happen if Earth had two suns? Well, first of all, every science fiction movie ever made would suddenly become a documentary. Tatooine, Star Wars, George Lucas, all of them would look suspiciously like prophets. But before we get too excited about finally getting those double sunsets, let's think this through. Two suns sounds great on paper, but reality is usually less romantic desert landscapes and more everyone bursts into flames. At first, you might imagine Earth simply orbiting happily between two bright orbs, enjoying twice the daylight, twice the warmth, and twice the opportunities to post Instagram photos captioned, "Another beautiful double sunrise." Unfortunately, physics is not nearly as cooperative. If we suddenly added another sun to our solar system, Earth's orbit would instantly go from a neat ellipse to something resembling the path of a confused drunk mosquito. Two gravitational centers tugging on one small planet means Earth would be flung around unpredictably, possibly ejected from the solar system entirely. So, before you even finish unpacking your picnic basket for your first double sunset barbecue, you and your basket might already be on your way into the freezing void of interstellar space. But let's suppose we're generous and arrange the two suns in a way that allows Earth to survive. Say, a binary star system where the suns orbit each other closely and Earth orbits around both as a pair. Binary star systems actually exist in the universe, so this isn't complete fantasy. In this scenario, Earth would stay gravitationally stable, and we could indeed experience two suns in the sky. What would life be like? First, daylight. You know how sometimes you wake up early and the sun is already blazing into your window? Now, imagine that never ends. With two suns, there would be hardly any true night. At best, you'd get a dim twilight if one sun sets while the other is still shining. Astronomers would be miserable because telescopes love darkness, and darkness would become a rare luxury. Stargazing would turn into an urban legend. Back in the old days, people used to look at the stars at night. Sure, Grandpa. And I suppose they also walked uphill both ways to school. The constant light would also wreak havoc on biology. Plants that rely on day-night cycles would get confused. Animals would lose their sense of time. Humans, deprived of proper darkness, would develop the world's most spectacular insomnia crisis. You think scrolling TikTok at 3 a.m. is bad? Try doing it while both suns are still shining in your eyes. Temperature would be another problem. Even if the second sun was smaller than our own, doubling the stellar output would cook Earth like a forgotten pizza in the oven. Oceans would start to evaporate, ice caps would vanish faster than your paycheck on payday, and the atmosphere would thicken with water vapor. A greenhouse effect on steroids. Eventually, Earth might resemble Venus, heat, cloudy, and very, very unfriendly. Not exactly the dreamy Tatooine life you imagined. And if the second sun happened to be much larger than the first, forget it. We wouldn't even have oceans to evaporate, because Earth would be instantly fried. Cities would melt, forests would combust, and the only creatures left to enjoy the double sunsets would be cockroaches, who, let's face it, were always going to outlive us anyway. But maybe you're thinking, wait, what if the second sun was smaller, like a red dwarf star? That would make things more survivable. A dimmer star wouldn't double the heat, but it would still add a second source of light. This would create strange, overlapping shadows. Every object would have two shadows pointing in different directions. Great for spooky Halloween vibes, terrible for anyone trying to play shadow puppets. And good luck sneaking up on anyone, because your two shadows would give you away instantly. Of course, not everything would be bad. With two suns, solar power would become absurdly efficient. Every rooftop panel would generate enough electricity to run a small country. Air conditioning companies would make a fortune. Sunglasses would become humanity's most valuable commodity. And science fiction writers would finally stop arguing with each other about whether two sun planets are realistic, because we'd all be living on one. But there's one more twist. Stars don't last forever. They burn out. If we had two suns, they wouldn't necessarily age at the same pace. Imagine one sun dies first. It swells into a red giant, fries half the solar system, and then collapses into a white dwarf, while the other keeps shining merrily. Earth would be caught between one deadly fireworks display and one normal sun. which would be both spectacular and absolutely terrifying. And when the second sun eventually dies too, well, congratulations. You now have not one, but two stellar corpses in your sky. Romantic, isn't it? So, to sum it up, if Earth had two suns, we'd get double the sunsets, double the light, double the shadows, and double the reasons to panic. We might survive if the stars were arranged just right, but more likely we'd either freeze in space, roast in fire, or slowly turn into a sleepless civilization of pale, grumpy insomniacs. In other words, two suns would be great for science fiction aesthetics, but not so much for actual humans. On the plus side though, if you ever wrote in your diary, "The sun never sets on my problems," you'd finally be scientifically correct.